Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's here in our virtual community, who's joining us in person. True blessing to be with all of you. A few days after my daughter, Sophie, was born, it was a time when one of the swine flus were going around, and so her older brother, Ethan, who is about 3 years and 8 months older than her, wasn't able to visit her in the hospital. And we had an opportunity at the end when they were meeting to come see. He was very anxious to see his new sister, and he was excited, and he had all the feels. And he sees her in the little in the stroller, and he's looking at her in amazement and wonder. And then he says, "Can we throw her out?" And they're watching right now, so I know that's accurate, so I'm pretty sure. And then he says, a couple of days later, "Is it too late to return her?" Now, that is a common experience that we see. And in truth, there's hardly a joke about it now, but I know in their ways, in these moments of preteen and teen, that they do love each other very much in these moments. And in truth, there's hardly a family that doesn't have some version of a story when the older sibling feels dethroned by the younger one. The term, actually, sibling rivalry, was coined by psychiatrist David Levy in the 1930s after his conclusive study across many cultures regarding the competition between siblings. But we all know the narrative of competition and rivalry goes back much further. It goes back to our Torah. Genesis introduces us, as I mentioned earlier, to the first brothers. We know first we learn about Cain and Abel, and many of us know how that goes. Then we encounter Isaac and Ishmael, when Ishmael is cast out along with his mother Hagar. And this week we are introduced to brothers Jacob and Esau, brothers we first met as they were fighting in the womb, and as the narrative informs us. Rebekah, their mother, is told that one is destined to rule over the other, and the younger Jacob would ultimately rule over his brother Esau. With this newfound knowledge, Rebekah subsequently contributes to the unconcealed favoritism of Jacob over Esau. And the family adds their indelible mark on yet another dysfunctional family narrative that we encounter in the book of Genesis. But sibling rivalry, as Levy notes in his study, invites intense competition and comparison between and among them. Levy also notes that the relationships between siblings can be a reflection on us, inviting moments when we can often be much more critical of them than we are others even. So upon reading the text again, I was reminded of many painful rivalries within our greater Jewish community. Those that feel their brand of Jewish living is superior to others. In Israel, we see examples of this modern-day sibling rivalry. We just saw it this morning as Rosh Chodesh began, and the ultra-Orthodox violently came and attacked those women who were of the egalitarian minyan who were praying at the wall. We see a chief rabbinate that's vying for supremacy while both denouncing and dismissing any other form of Judaism, driven in part, like other sibling rivalries, by competition for resources, by access to holy places, and a desire to define who is truly a Jew. Sadly, that narrative is alive and all too familiar today. Now, the Torah does give us a happy ending in the story of Jacob and Esau. A little spoiler here for a few weeks from now, that the brothers eventually embrace and live in neutral peace. So I could easily point to more internal Jewish rivalries and struggles, yet something else has taken up much of my reflective space this week. I've been thinking about my local community siblings, those that I and we share work and living spaces with. We shop at the same grocery stores. We stop at the same traffic lights. We traverse the same roads and freeways. Yet, I have and continue to find it fascinating how our experiences, even while intersecting, can be so diverse and so varied. There are those we share community with that have been fortunate to live with health and wellness, while others struggle with prolonged illness. Some have even been blessed with material fortune, while others struggle to provide for basic family needs. The differences can be striking and, for some, surprising and at times unexpected. So how can we extrapolate some life lesson from our narrative this week as we widen the tent and look to the relationships with our community's brothers and sisters? So here's my take. Our Torah is asking us to lean into our life intersections as a source of inspiration and action. The moments where, unlike the early part of Jacob and Esau's relationship, we don't tear each other down or hold each other back. Rather, we work to bring dignity and support to the other. Enter Beth Israel and enter Father Joe's, sibling faith community organizations, different in design and approach, yet both born of divine inspiration and action. Both are part of the same human family, working to find a shared language by bringing the light of our respective faiths into humanity. In the 1980s, Father Joe Carroll, may his memory be a blessing, knew that a sudden and severe economic downturn gripping San Diego at the time would quickly grow the number of the homeless population from a few to many. At the same time, our congregation, which was then located at 3rd and Laurel near Balboa Park, felt the need to respond as well. Our Social Action Corps recognized that the synagogue needed to find a way to provide support and decided to volunteer at existing programs to assess how they operated. It was crystal clear that the best of these programs was run by Father Joe Carroll on behalf of St. Vincent de Paul Society. Beth Israel leaders were actively working with Father Joe on the homeless problem and arranged a meeting between Father Joe and rabbinic and board leaders at the time, among them Hunger Project founder Joan Kuttner. At this time, it was decided that Beth Israel would assist Father Joe by providing a morning meal on Sundays. From the first location, an old storefront on 16th Street in the East Village, with a first meal served on Sunday in March of 1986, and clients numbering 249 men and 1 woman, to a weekly client base of over 1,000 hungry individuals on a typical Sunday morning. Through Father Joe's vision and support, the Hunger Project volunteers continue and works to heal the world one hungry person at a time. Tonight, we honor the incredible work that has and continues to be done. To my friend, my brother, Deacon Jim Vargas, President and CEO of Father Joe's, who joins us this evening, he will share a few words of encouragement as Beth Israel is recognized for her sacred work at Father Joe's. 35 years ago, our congregation saw our brothers and sisters in need of support. No rivalry, no competition, only love for the other, and a shared desire to prevent and to end homelessness, one life at a time. We are joined this evening not only by Deacon Vargas, but we are joined by some of the amazing staff and volunteers from our community who have given their all, have given their heart, some for 20 plus years, every Sunday, to make the work sacred. Roger Ashertow, Marty Stern, and Bill Connors, who join us here this evening. You are with us always in spirit and heart, and give of your souls to those in need. Later in our text, we learn the following. Years later, Jacob himself went on ahead and bowed to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. Esau, however, ran to him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they both wept. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How wonderful it is as brothers and sisters dwell together, as we say together, Amen. I call upon my friend, my brother, Deacon Jim Vargas. Shabbat shalom.
It is such a pleasure to be with you this night. I've been looking forward to it, especially to be here with my friend, the rabbi, who I've gotten to know since he arrived about a year ago.
Year and a half? Oh, yeah. But who's counting?
It's really been my pleasure. Allow me to begin, actually, by reading. Okay, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Is it good? All right, thank you for the high sign. Allow me to begin from the book of Micah. He has shown you, O man, what is good and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God.
Let me bring out the big mics.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I really reflected on that short verse from the book of Micah because it points to why I'm especially here with you tonight, right? We're called to be the face of mercy. We're called to be the face of God. And if God is anything, God is merciful. And we see that mercy time and time again. When we see that his people called out to him from Egypt, and he sent Moses to deliver them. When we see that Abraham and Sarah cried out to him because they were childless, and from their progeny came more than the stars could be counted in the heavens and the sand on the seashore. We see when in the New Testament, those who are blind are given sight, those who are lame are able to walk, those who are possessed by demons are freed from their maladies. Time and time again, we see how God is mercy. And it's to that mercy, to that call of mercy, that this congregation Beth Israel, especially through his hunger project, responds time and time again. And as the rabbi mentioned, dating back to 1986, 35 years in an unbroken chain each and every single Sunday. What amazes me is when I visit on some Sundays with those from the Hunger Project, some who are here today, how they very proudly, and proud in a good way, say to me that they haven't missed a Sunday in years and years and years. I wonder how that's even possible, right? And yet they take a lot of pride in that, again, in a good way, because they love what they do. And our beloved Joan, who's not with us, but she was someone that was Joan's rule, right? And Joan's rule was that you were to greet the individuals who you encountered that morning warmly. You were to serve them joyfully, because this kindness was probably the only kindness they had seen in a long time. And so I thank you for joining in this evening with me, and please pass along to all the others also my deep appreciation. This relationship, this partnership that we, Father Joe's Villages, have had with your congregation and with the Hunger Project for these 35 years is very, very dear to me. I really cherish it. And I've been there, Father Joe's Villages, 7 years. And 5 years ago, Leslie will remember, you were nice enough to invite me here because it was the 30-year mark, all right? And I wanted to celebrate that 30-year mark with you as well. And here we are, before you know it, I can't believe it's another 5 years, and it's 35 years. So it's really my honor to be with you this evening the reason this is such a milestone, in fact, it's not only the 35 years, but not only the meals that you graciously serve, but each and every single month, there's also a stipend that you give us, right? And that has surpassed now $1 million. Unbelievable. I can't express my appreciation enough to you. And over 1.5 million meals just about served throughout these very, very many years. That is quite a milestone. There isn't, I think, any other organization that has a partnership of this nature that has lasted this long and has been so fruitful. So I do thank you, each and every single one, especially those of the Hunger Project, for being the face of mercy, for being the face of God, and especially for those who we serve, some of them who are stigmatized, many of them who are stigmatized, right? Many of them who are not shown kindness. And you, time and time again, every single Sunday, come and show them that kindness, right? Serve them warmly. So with that, I want to present to you, just to commemorate this milestone, so Rabbi, if you would join me.
I'm going to ask our wonderful staff and volunteers to come join us on the bima, if you're so inclined.
And I'll read this to you. It says, Father Joe's Villages, we are grateful to Congregation Beth Israel of San Diego for 35 years of loving generosity, reaching a milestone of $1 million in donations and 1.4 million meals served. Thank you so very much.
It's so good to be with you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Shalom.
I hope you all get to know Deacon Jim. He's a wonderful human being. We both immigrated here from the Bronx. So we share that. We also share our Puerto Rican Latino backgrounds as well. So this is really, it was a shidduch made in I don't know where, but it was made. It was made. And maybe you'll get to see him after. I hear he might be appearing next week again. We have some celebrations going on next week here, so it'd be nice to join us again. So thank you to you, to Father Joe's, to all of those that make this possible. Just an incredible, incredible blessing that we get to participate in and be of service in. So thank you.